好，那我们的你要卡加入之后，我们接下来先来这里面到处逛逛，看什么小任务可以接。然后上一集说错了哦，君王星光工业集团是一度终于董事会，现在已经脱离了。但脱离之后，状况还是很差呢。
I wonder sometimes what they're doing on other colonies.
Uh-huh.
Think they're watching the same serials, following the same tossball games?
Mm-hmm.
You're not listening to a word, are you?
Something.
先往这走。
Got any news from the rest of Halcyon?
这什么东西？植物香菇。这件是什么
Fresh blood at last.
Could I get another advance, Mr. Nandi?
公司吗？
Just make sure it's properly logged.
哦，
I'll note it next to the others, sir.
西利亚·罗宾斯，你就是商家的难敌。
Greetings, and welcome to Monarch Stellar Industries,
金枪龟
producers
生
and
产经销
purveyors
商
of the finest salt tuna in Halcyon. What can I...
Or is he not paying you on account of how he tried to fix the thing his own self and busted it even worse, and then said you wasn't fixing it fast enough, so he's docking your wages again?
超生
Not
气
that
的，
I got any experience with such.
你就是有经历过。
Not at all. Mr. Nandi treats us all right and pays us well. I just spent most of my paycheck on
花在买
Raptidon acid.
暴龙溪的酸液上。
Laws, no. Sometimes it's canid teeth, or mantis worm wings.
塞巴斯蒂安有的活动吧？
So I can talk to him, of course. He doesn't get going about much
原来如
else.
此。
I reckon she's
He's sort of the straw. Unfortunately, my apartment's kind of filling up with his
Yeah.
stuff.
跟他约会啊？
I couldn't. Hey, maybe you could ask him for me. I mean, a no. Oh, Mr. Nandi's doing that thing.
鼻子慢慢呼吸。等等，好
He
奇，
doesn't talk much, but he's got
沉默
this
寡言的机器，
quiet and plus he's got great legs.
锻炼下肢的男人可不好找。好，我先去认识认识，再来给你意见。嗨，这里的负责人。
Well, new business turns up at last.
不好说，
Celia,
赚钱的是你还是我呢
didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 30...
you've often posed these very questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer...
你好，
Celia, will you make a note of that for my self-review? Very generous.
哇，讲了几句话就大概了解
Not
了，我
so
不喜欢
generous
他
I。can't drive a good bargain. Now, who sent you? Rizzo's, perhaps? Or Auntie? What a charming notion. One doesn't meet many free spirits in Halcyon. Forgive me, I'd be positively enraptured. Only I take it this means you
有
aren't
讲
here
那
for
么白
salt
吗
tuna.？
我不为你的生意来，你就不高兴？
Now, there's no need to humor.
Seems like you're having a rough time, Mr. Sanjar. Are you doing quite all right?
Oh, don't worry on my account. This is merely the latest in a long line of
事业上、性
professional
生活上、
erotic
体育运动
and
上，
athletic disappointments. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our
赢
bosom,
得其他公
but
司的信赖。
it's... Surviving alone isn't as... Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been
长
cut
达
off
10
from
年
the
被
board's
排除
resources
在
and
外。
protection for 10 years now.
So-called is right. We've got our hazards, but we're still here, damn it. The board took off without so much as a thought for
对
the
啊，所
folks
以是
left
董事会把
behind.
他们都抛弃了。
I don't. Dang it, Captain, that's not right.
Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such
非关
arrangements
系，
are
官方性质，
precarious.
亚光素嘛。
You talk like Graham.
格雷姆，
Freedom always sounds nice, doesn't it? It makes. But if you sit down and tally up the costs, how you provide for yourself in the absence of aid, how you protect yourself from a hostile galaxy, it starts to lose its shine.
你呢？
Well, Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
要重新
On
回归
our
董事会。
terms, mind you.
But will that help the people here, Mr. Sanjar? Keep them fed and safe?
That's precise.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit,
It's true, our Celia is an alarmingly competent middle manager. The plan she refers to is a two-pronged approach, and the first part involves seeing Stellar
星
Bay
光湾
properly
具备
defended.
足够的自卫能力。你打算怎么
With a
做？
Bolt 52 cartridge, of course. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon.
清
and you'll
算
have a
转让清
powerful
单，
ally on the board.
它是什么东西？
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance. An ordinance, of course. We do things in a civilized fashion here.
格雷厄姆
Not
叛
like
徒。
Graham's iconoclasts.
There's nothing the board likes so.
In the old arms building southwest of town,
就有
which
全能
used to
档
be
案系
part
统
of。Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. These days it's saying
全能档案系统。
that's just what it's called. It's supposed. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous
危险
information.
讯息，
What can I do?
你可以问什么？
Then it's
你这
good
边
that
的
I
事
keep
情
such
是
meticulous notes. I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we.
你们脱离董事会是自己造
Not
成的。
intentionally, though that's. For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. But back then, it was known as Terra 1.
内地新一，别的公司有什么？
As you may have noticed, this
自
planet
然灾害。
That ain't fair. They didn't leave on account of the hazards. They left on account of.
sharp as ever, Nyoka, and as the other corporation.
但你没有退
Our
出，
leadership at the time certainly wanted.
当时的
But
领
there were
导
others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the. It's humane, but it's also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out.
I hope you'd treat them nice, whether it was good business or not, Mr. Sanjar. That's what being a community means.
Here, here. That may not be the way the colony works, but it damn well oughta.
A noble thought, Miss Holcomb. Unfortunately, noble thoughts rarely sway board policy. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms.
哦，原来是这样。
That's what I thought. But the senior executives laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with everyone else. Yes, some of us stayed behind, and as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations
Oh,
dislodged
yes,
us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages.
哦，原来是这样子。
I don't know.
他们还有什么别的目的吗？
Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules. And yet, I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently.
什么是危险条款？
Straight bullshit is what it is. A fabrication rich folks use to preserve their investments.
Nyoka has the right of it.
But wait,
等等
what happens to the folks stuck
刚
on
那
the
句
wrong
没看
side
到
of dangerous?
I'm afraid the welfare of a few hundred people is too minor a figure into the board's risk assessments.
一项法律条款授予了董事会随时封锁任何被他们认定为危险的星球或地区的权利。原来如此。
Yes, making all of MSI criminals in the board's eye. Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in-house.
Yeah, that'd go a long way toward rebuilding our homes.
他们需要董
To
事会
be
的
on
资
the
源。
board is to be part of the colonial community. And being cut off means... I'm not a man to put pride. If membership on the board can ease our hardships... Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part...
筹码
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Yes, yes, it'll be easier to explain once we have the bolt fit. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations. To be... Indeed, if membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities... Besides, I'm hope... Oh, believe me, My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed. He and his followers call themselves the Iconoclasts. Lawless anarchists, all of them. If anyone on Monarch deserves the reputation the board's pinned on us, it's them. I'm trying to build something here. They only want to destroy things, and it isn't just that they drain our people and resources.
夺走人手和资源。
Every radical act they commit cements Halcyon's image of us all as destructive. He's lucky the board doesn't take him seriously enough to keep more than a few UDL gunships.
An Earth Directorate assault cruiser would change his tune. It's almost a shame we haven't seen one around Monarch in a long while.
What can I do for you? I see. And was his... Well, that's excellent. I'll see that your feed... What else can I do? Hiram? Why, he's probably still out at
More
Devil's
grateful.
Peak. Not that... You'd head south along the road and look for a mountain to... But I see you've met...
He just wants me out of it.
OK， 好，稍微小聊了一下。君王星光工业集团，希望通过它的品牌，将自由精神融入到整个翡翠鸟殖民地。
Have you done? You know, sending you is the first bright idea I've seen from that man, because I told him to stop bothering me. I still don't know anything about it. But if you want to... But I'll warn you. Grim wore her patience thin a long...
好，这边还有什么可以逛？另一扇门，办公室，
I hope you being here means the board is loosening their restrictions.
有什么文件之类的吗？
If you leave town, watch out for iconoclasts. They're almost as bad
叛逆
as
派
the Rock.
修改建议。商家好追求精确的数字哦，17.3%。看一下，查看数据，商家难敌的个人文件。谋求员工福利。 缓慢持续增长的状态，收益减少的原因，品质欠佳，士气不振，人员流失，成为掠夺者。所以他们这边其实还是环境安全的问题影响蛮大的啦，而且又缺乏资源，没有董事会的资助，被封闭住了，所以他们只能从一些像亚光树那边走私一些东西进来。星系中的利润之星比大牌多了 43.28% 营养。自动贩卖机，好，办公室逛完了。这件是什么？工人。
If you want to talk to the boss, she's in the back of the warehouse.
太空船模型，好大间哦！工厂。
Smells like wrapped in here. Oh, it does work. I bought some musk from Sebastian to cover up the saltpeter smell. Trust me.
金枪鱼。
Look, I don't.
Hey, Velma, I got your caffeine request.
哦，找到了，尾马。
You're a lifesaver. Hope Abigail didn't give you a hard time.
Just the usual. Any word on Braxton?
布拉克雷斯顿。
Don't know how much longer I can cover for him either.
哦。
Give me those pills, will you?
有什么事情吗？
You know, you might consider a real night's sleep instead.
工作狂啊！
Plenty of work to do, especially with so many.
Look, you can tell Catherine the new shipment will be ready when it's ready, all right? She's welcome to come up here and pack boxes herself if she's in such.
等等等等等，我不是工人啊。
Well, if you're that friendly about it, then you definitely aren't one of Catherine's sublight toughs. My mistake. Hope you can forgive my temper. First, my autoloader foreman stages a walkout, and now my chief physiological health manager is missing.
你的什么主管
Braxton. He's in charge of getting the fish fat, but also making sure they don't get too many tumors. He's a real wizard with pharmaceuticals, but he has creative notions of working hours.
工作时间观念失踪了。
We're not keen on rules for rules' sake around here. Means Braxton skips work sometimes, but since you don't seem to be... Tell him Velma said to get his lazy ass down here, or she might start noticing those extra jugs. Something... Caleb Herrick runs the autoloader operators. He thinks I don't pay them enough for flipping...
So the job's easy, but you're not doing it? Something smells here. I mean, everything smells in here, but something's fishy.
He and his whole crew walked out.
有工作不满是吗？
Because we've got a budget, all right? And it You mind slapping him around a little while you're at it? I'm joking. If you can find a way to get him back to work.
在酒吧那里。你刚刚说
stealing such a
拿药品。
Yeah, let's just say I've noticed the sterile biotics we use for the fish would get used
用在
a
鱼
little
身上的
faster
抗生
on
素
Braxton.
消耗的快一点。你怎么不知道它呢？
We're not like those corporate towns where you get fined for sleeping on the. Besides, the Spacer's Choice stuff we use is cheap enough. And Braxton knows how to get the Saltuna, fat and mostly tumor-free. Unless you're here to tell me he's agreed to do his job again? Hard workers?
I'll wager she don't pay those folks that maintain the mechanicals decent neither.
Caleb and his crew have it better than any.
待遇最好的。
I don't have.
没钱。
Besides, if Caleb wants to keep this job, he'd better.
说服。 100的话，你雇佣了亚光术的人，那你是给了他们更多的权利来管理，对啊。
Maybe so, but I bet you Caleb. He says he's got a stash to tide his crew over. Could be he's all talk, but if the money's real, I bet
you'd steal from your own people.
That's business.
今天先等等啊。那先问格林的海报。
This again? I swear, you can tell Grimm his poster came in. You can also tell him I got a better offer for it. So now it's going to Nell.
更高价的买家。
cover it?
谁是尼尔？
She runs the betting parlor across the way. Nice professional lady. She asked me about the poster once. Damn right. No, I paid Sublight for it, so it's mine. And when Nell pays me for it,
哦，请他代购，然后他要转手卖给别人。
Sure.
说服。稍等哦。
Fine by me.
凯撒琳是亚光术的人。
Sublight boss out of Fallbrook. Handles most goods that come in or out of Stellar Bay.
好，先这样。回到岗位上，或者是偷他的钱。你们在这里养鱼是吗？诶，这可以爬上去。哦，废墟南，从这个地方可以出去。倒是可以走走看，看通到哪里，记一下有这个地方。
Wouldn't mind smelling like salt tuna. More of it.
哎呀，我呀，先生。好，上楼。等先晃一圈。 维玛的柜子钥匙，使用终端，个人文档，骇客55，胡乱输入密码，消息，布拉克斯顿，4批货在仓库里烂掉，因为找不到买家。一把枪，好，解锁。
Nicely done.
冲击锤第2代。 他说要骇客55，我的能力是了。骇客，我有这加骇客能力的东西吗？身上没带。你们2个有吗？可以借我吗？没有。好，没关系，先记着。 啊！我去问一下格林对海报的事。哎，
Have you had time to check on that poster yet?
海报给他。诶，我拿到海报了吗？呢？哦，拿到了。哦，我刚刚在箱子里偷的嘛，我还以为只是一般的拿来卖钱的废品而已，结果居然就这样被我偷过来了。那也许我可以先解这个，在外面哦。这里，南边。走过去吧，看一下。这个。
Help! Someone's been killed.
怎么了？
I think I'm gonna.
冷静下来。
I clean the apartments while every. If you're going into the apartments, do not.
右边楼下。
Now, if...
死掉了吗？哇哦！
Oh, sorry. Just spooked me, was all.
Even Stellar Bay ain't safe these days. What's the world coming to?
死的真惨。虽然你死了，但我还是要偷你的东西。你嘿。投掷球，投注单。哦，金钱纠纷吗？检查，双冲收拾的行李。先大致了解一下好了。我们先去找。
Whatever you do, don't mention Tossball to Isaac. You'll never hear the end of it.
You know, I haven't seen him in a while.
If you'd gotten stuck in an hour-long rant about mostly colonists, you'd be thankful.
劳拉。诶？布拉克斯顿的公寓，就这里吗？应该是啊，难道不是吗？真是牵扯进很多事情里来，一定是就是这间了。小珍百货店。那看来我们要花点时间，好好来看一下这里到底出了什么事。